Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to the video. So I've been working on the Mandalorian and I've been looking at some deck lists online to kind of get an idea of where I want the deck to be at. There is of course several ways to build the deck, however I do think one of the more powerful ways is just going with a 30 damage blue base. You could go for the 25 damage base, however after some testing I did run into trouble against Sabine particularly. So because of that I do think a 30 damage base is kind of mandatory for a deck like this that wants to play a little bit on the slow side, playing some units, throwing some upgrades on there to be able to exhaust our opponent's units and kind of throw off their curve. As we have so many upgrades in the deck though, we do run into a bit of a situation where if we lose a unit that has a bunch of upgrades attached to it, we are kind of at a card net negative because we lose the unit alongside all the equipment pieces that go along with it. So because of that, you do need to run things like C3PO and Ezra Bridger to kind of bridge the gap, as well as Greef Karga that can fetch you a equipment piece from the top 5 of your deck. Crafty Smuggler and L337 are great though because they enter with a shield token on them, so if you put a bunch of equipments on these and then you can, for example, clear one of your opponent's things and then still have a fully buffed unit ready to go to start attacking in with in future turns. I quite like running the Millennium Falcon in this list as well because the Millennium Falcon can be equipped with Devotion, making it a beefy 4-5 attacker. You do need to keep tapping one resource every single turn, but because we have so many things that come in at 1 or 2 costs, that usually isn't all that much of a problem because we are not that resource hungry to play this deck at its full potential. And then when you do get to your big combo turn and you do reach 6 resources or more, it's very nice to be able to flip the Mandalorian, play something like a Darksaber on top of that, maybe tap one of your opponent's problematic unit, and then finishing the game with a big surprise strike. You will be attacking for 11 damage on one swing that most heroes cannot really do anything against because there are some really hyper aggro decks out there. You want to keep a bit of control over the board state as well so that your opponent doesn't outvalue you even with all your restore going on. I'm a big fan of the new Hotshot card. Even though it's a red card, if you smuggle it, it is just a cunning card, so you don't get that aspect penalty by playing it. It does cost 3 though, but it's kind of like a mini surprise strike. Another cool play that you can go for is when you do deploy the Mandalorians, that you just throw a Mandalorian's rifle on top of it and you get to exhaust one unit and then at the same time you get to capture another one. So if you're not really in the lethal range yet, then by using the Mandalorian's rifle you can very easily swing the game back into your favor. When you're facing off against a full uncontrolled deck though, the deck does struggle quite a bit. We do have the Spark of Rebellions. The Entrenched is also nice because we can put it onto one of the big capital ships and just keep the space lane clear and just keep building on the ground unit side. And I do quite like having Change of Heart available to us because what we can do is we can claim the initiative once they have a big unit on the field, and then when our turn rolls around we can Change of Heart that unit, have it ready to attack into their base. Kind of wondering if I even want to be running a third copy of Change of Heart because again the control matchup is a bit of a nightmare and we don't really have a proper way to deal with these big capital ships. I've seen quite a lot of other decks out there opting out of the Mandalorian and they're running Luke instead. Well, I do like running Luke in this deck, but because we keep buffing our things so much, many times you're kind of playing it for its nerfed version and therefore you're not really getting the full value out of Luke. So I find with the Mandalorian specifically, because there's Sentinel, even if you don't get any benefit from the heal itself, because usually our things are quite healthy, I do like having a big Sentinel that I can just play on demand, that's also a Mandalorian, so it combos nicely with the Darksaber. I just like it in general, and maybe I'm just a fan of this legendary. I love the artwork, I love the wherever I go he goes lore aspect tied into it, so maybe I'm a bit biased towards the card. I should probably be running a 5-card Sentinel like Chewbacca for example, but for now I'm running it as is. I quite like it, I'm gonna keep it there. I do think though if you were to run Chewbacca and you put Chewbacca down and you load it up with a bunch of Electrostaffs and Devotions, if they attack into it ready, then you can just continuously keep attacking into the base. So maybe I should be swapping the Mandalorian for Chewbacca, but for now I will just keep it as is. Shoot First is very good as a removal card, especially against decks like Sabine, so it's very nice to put that one into the deck instead of one of the surprise strikes for example. And now we have Spare the Target. Spare the Target is pretty much just an upgraded waylay. It puts the unit back into the opponent's hand, and if it has bounty, you get to collect it. Doesn't really come up all that much, but there are a couple of units here and there that do have bounties attached to them. One card that I'm not really sold on at the moment is Follow of the Way. Like, it's very good to have a 2/4 attacker for 2 resources because we're going to be upgrading it anyway, but at the same time it doesn't really do much for the deck. It doesn't have a one played effect, and it doesn't do anything when you're actually attacking in, so Follow of the Way is one of those cards that I'm thinking maybe I should cut this one out and just put a couple of Sparks of Rebellion in here instead. But for now, I kind of like it as having yet another Mandalorian here that I can potentially put the Darksaber onto. All in all, I'm very happy with the deck. Let me know what you think. Are you going to be playing the Mandalorian yourself? Are you going to be building it the way that I did? If you will, or if you won't, please let me know down in the comment section. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and if you want to support me, there is a Patreon over patreon.com/GuGanaGaming. I'm going to be covering Fennec Shand in a future video, so keep an eye out for that. I have quite a spicy list ready to share with you all very soon, so I will see you all then, and I hope you have a lot of fun playing Star Wars. I'm really looking forward to playing this new format, and I will see you all soon with another video. Take care.